I'm Mike Ormond and I'm going to show you how to bluff your way through IE8.
So let's first just make sure we're all on the same page as far as what a web slice is, what an accelerator is, what a search provider is. Web slices allow me to isolate an area of my site or part of my page and advertise that out for users to consume in a more easily accessible fashion. So here, for example, I've isolated out this piece of traffic news, which happens to be the traffic news for Reading, in my case, and advertised it out as a web slice. So this icon here indicates a web slice. I click on that, I get the option to install this web slice. Having installed it on my favorites bar, at any time now, so I can go off to some other page. Let's just switch to a different tab. I can go off to a different page, and if I want to check the traffic conditions in Reading, drop down the preview and I'll be able to see a list of current traffic incidents in Reading. So that just that small part of the page has been sucked out and presented to me in the web slice. On top of that, when that content is updated, so there's a schedule through which that content is checked by IE, and when that content is modified, then that web slice will be highlighted in a different color, and I'll know that there's new information there for me to go and pick up. So that's a web slice. An accelerator is just a very simple mechanism to give the user an easy way to take some content on the page. Let's go to the default page. So some content on the page, for example, this address, and then perform an action on it. So we get prompted with the smart tag there, and there's a whole bunch of different accelerators here already. I'm going to hover over the accelerator that I've built, this one here. There's a preview, and what we're doing is we're taking that address, translating it into a location, and then going and looking up the local traffic incidents and safety camera information for that location. So our location is that little gold ball there. These are all the safety cameras in the area, and there's some traffic incidents in place as well. And if I want to navigate through and see the full detail, I can just click on that and it will take me to the detailed view, and then I can start to navigate around and see the actual detail of what these incidents are. So the accelerator allows me to highlight that content on the page and then say I want to perform an action. And once I've installed that accelerator, that context menu just appears, or rather my accelerator appears in that context menu. And finally, a search provider. For some time now, IE has had this search box here, and we've essentially extended the search box with a plugin model, so I can write my own search provider, and the user can install that search provider. They see that search integrated into the search box. So here you can see I've got a number of different search providers installed. I've got my own traffic search, which again is searching against the same application. So we're currently in the traffic search, and what I can do is type in or start to type in a road name. So say I was interested in, I don't know, the M4. You'll see that we get suggestions of the road I might be interested in. So as I move back, all the motorways, there's the M4, maybe it's just the M42, and I get that list of suggestions, and I click on that, and it takes me to the detail of the current incident on the M42. So it's a customized search, first of all. Secondly, it provides a suggestion as you type, and you can implement that suggestion mechanism as well. And finally, in fact, you can add in a visual element to this. So I happen to have just adorned each of these suggestions with my my little traffic cone there, but that is customizable per result, and you can have a custom image for each of these search results as it comes back. So that's a web slice, an accelerator, and a search provider. Those are what those three things do in IE8. Okay, so let's spend a minute on web slices. How does a user know when there's a web slice available for them to subscribe to? Well, as they navigate around the page, they get a visual indication of each web slice as they move the mouse over it. And secondly, there's a light up here that shows the web slices available on the page. And how do I, as a page developer, tell IE8 that this piece of content is a web slice and that the should be an indicator to show that there's a web slice available? Well, it's very easy to do, in fact. What I need to do is to set some classes on the relevant bits of content. So my web slice is indicated by setting an hslice class on an element in my page, and then I identify the title using entry title, and I identify the content I want to appear in the web slice itself using that entry content class, and my content here will then appear in that web slice. Now there are a lot more options than that. You can do things like, for example, install the web slice from one location but update it from a separate location, an RSS feed perhaps, and that's fine. There's lots of different options there. You need to go and look at the online docs to see exactly how to do that. And what about accelerators? How does a user know when there's an accelerator available? Well, typically they'll be on your site and you will advertise to them in some fashion that there's an available accelerator to install. So for example, here we have a button that would allow the user to install the accelerator. It might be a hyperlink. The user clicks on the button and gets presented with some information about the accelerator. They select add, that gets added then into the accelerator's context menu, and that's available to them now on any site that an accelerator is installed in IE8. And if they want to uninstall it, they can simply go to the Manage Add-ons tab, select accelerators, and you'll see there's that local traffic accelerator that we have just installed. Notice also that that button is now being grayed out so we can detect whether or not a particular accelerator is already installed on the user's machine. So as a developer, how do I get that accelerator installed in IE8? There's a couple of things I need to do. Primarily, I need to provide an open service description, which is an XML file that describes all the details about my accelerator, so things like its homepage, its name, its description, the actions for previewing and for executing the accelerator, etc. And then I need to provide that installation mechanism, in our case a button that actually does the install. And we just look here, there is the actual button that does the install of the local traffic accelerator, and it just makes a call to window.external.add service and provides the URL of that XML file with the open service description in it, and that's how I get the user to install the accelerator. And what about search providers? As a user, how do I discover when new search providers are available? Well, probably the most common way is on the site in question, I will be offered the opportunity to install a dedicated search provider. So here, for example, we have a button I could use to install the search provider. Click on that and it prompts me with some details again and asks me if I want to install it. But also a slightly more subtle way is, notice the color of the drop down on the search box itself has changed, and this indicates there are new search providers available for me to install if I choose to. And we'll see here under Add Search Providers that Traffic Search is being offered to me as a new search provider to install. So as a page developer, how do I make those things happen? Well, again, I need to produce an XML document, in this case an open search description document that specifies all details about my search provider. So for example, we have here the URL of my search itself and also my suggestions URL. So I create that XML open search description file, and then on the page where I want to offer that out, again we had a button, and here's the button in question, and in this case we're calling window.external add search provider and passing the URL to that open search description document. And to make the search box drop down light up, I can use a link in the head of my page of this format, again specifying the URL to that search provider open search description document, and that will cause IE8 to recognize that there is a search provider being advertised and cause the drop down to highlight and indicate that. So who's using these things, you might say? Well, we've seen a great deal of interest from companies like, for example, Tesco, who've built an accelerator to search their online store. Similarly, for as seen on screen, they've got an accelerator and also a visual search provider. DirectGov, to help you search their website, they've got an accelerator. Rightmove, I've got an accelerator for finding properties for sale and properties for rent. And I think a really interesting use of a web slice is on eBay. They've got accelerator search providers, etc. as well. But I think a really interesting use of web slice is to watch items that you're bidding on and then see when that item changes, perhaps when somebody else bids on it. So there's a broad spectrum of use cases. Really, your imagination is the only limit to what you can do with these things, and I encourage you to go out and try them.